How likely are you to take risks in your everyday life? I don't want you to answer now, just think about it and I will comment it in a second. So today I'm going to talk about the psychology behind risk-taking. What I'm going to do is show you how to hack your brain in order to learn how to become a risk-taker. So here's again my pop quiz psychology question. How likely are you to take risks in your everyday life? Not that much, right? Or at least not as much as you would like or could possibly do. If we try to analyze why is that, we could get to a solution that blames our personality. We could say, I'm not that positive, I'm not that brave, I was basically not made for that, right? Well, nothing is farther from the truth, and I will show you why with facts. But first, how can we tell if somebody is a risk-taker? Kahneman proposed a description of risk-takers as people that need stimulation and seek novelty, change, adventure. They need to show that they are independent thinkers and they're capable of solving the problems on their own. What they do not enjoy is long-term planning, as they prefer to respond to the situation. And after this long description of risk-takers, what is risk-taking instead? That's just an aspect of decision-making, but it is significantly affected by our own appraisals, moods, and emotions. A catch-all phrase for this is affect. It is just differentiated in negative or positive, but subtly, affect is a combination different for all of us. And here's where science always fails. The worst nightmare of every researcher. Variability. Indeed, the results of the studies conducted to understand whether affect reduces or increases risk-taking are quite ambiguous. And I'm afraid that at this point, I don't have any tip. But let's see. It has been proposed that what really matters for us in order to take risks is our perception of the ability of using risk-taking to regulate affect, as variable as it is. And the real determining factors are acute stress and especially the salience of reward. People in a negative affective state and under stress may see high-risk options as an opportunity to regulate affect. Because physiological stress responses such as the release of cortisol increase the salience of reward and impair self-control processes, the same processes that would otherwise refrain us from choosing what we call risky options. I know that at this point you think that I trapped you in a biology psychology class, but trust me, you're halfway to become a risk-taker. You're just not there yet. For example, when I talked about salience of reward and reward, you were probably hoping me to say that if you start adding risk to your life, you will slowly get closer to this. But I'm afraid that doesn't correspond to the truth. What is true instead is that you will slowly enter into a virtuous circle. What risk-taking involves is challenging yourself, experience uncertainty, and hope at the same time. That stress, cortisol's release, and you wait to see the outcome. And if it turns out well, you'll be happier than ever. But if it turns out bad, you'll be extremely happy as well. And that's because the simple fact of having challenged yourself opened your eyes on how far you can get. And so, your serotonin level will raise to the sky, and soon enough, you will experience what cognitive psychologists call mood congruity, which is an effect that happens in our brain and leads us to learn or retrieve better when the affective value of the information matches the learner's mood. This is why, when you're in love, everything is pink, and when you've been dumped, everything is gray. Just think about it. And then, what can be more rewarding than creating a better version of yourself? Overcoming your fears, for example. Even if, in that case, there's something I haven't told you. What I haven't told you is that when it comes to fears, it is almost impossible to forget them. And that's because there's a tiny area deep down in our brain, the so-called amygdala, which stores memories of events and especially emotions such as anger and fear, so that you're able to recognize them in similar events in the future and not doing it again. So you're right, and not blaming too much yourself if you don't want to climb anymore the tree from which you fell when you were 7, or if you don't want to see dogs anymore after the day that one bite you, because you cannot change it, right? Well, in this case, psychology can actually help us, and if you get this, you can basically define yourself a risk taker. It was found that every time that we learn something new, our brain changes, and also with a fascinating facility. We all have this common feature in our brain, which is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of our brain to change and to be shaped by the environment and the things we learn. And if you are a tremendous romantic like me, you can picture it like this. And what we know is that the major driver of neuroplastic change is your behavior. No drugs, no tricks, no line training. So, be ready. In order to achieve risk-taking on a daily basis, or at least in the occasions where you don't want to be regarded as a coward, what you need to do is as easy as a neuroplastic change in your behavior. And this is the tip that you were probably not expecting. And I know it because the actual problem that we confront every day when it comes to decision making is being constrained by our own emotions in our comfort zone. But here psychology comes to help again. The solution here is reappraisal, elaborating emotional information, changing its meaning, making it less threatening. And it makes sense if you think of all the people that are famous for their adventures and exciting lifestyles, but before we're just scared of everything. Take me, for example. Okay, I'm not actually famous for my adventures, but there was the one time when my own mind was stopping me from becoming one. So this summer, I was in Italy with my friends. We were exactly here. And at some point, they came up with this amazing idea of going to the cliff, jumping from there, and swimming. Now, I need to say that I've never been that much of an agile person. And as a girl with various childhood traumas involving rocks, I wasn't really excited by the idea. But at the same time, I didn't want to crash the party. So, we all went there, and this was the cliff. Not that high, right? Well, maybe I should say that that was from my friend's perspective. My perspective was more or less like this. Actually, this is more accurate. So you can imagine how the story goes. My friends, me. At some point, I even sat there with the typical look of a surrendered. But then I started thinking, what is stopping me from jumping? Okay, chance of hitting R somewhere, I can get it. Probability of some water to get in my brain and suffer from some neurological problem, I can understand that as well. But then I asked myself, why anybody on earth should not take those risks? Risks are everywhere, and guess what? The highest number of risks was involved in the things that now we recall as our best memories, in the things that made us feel changed just once we've done them. So, I reappraised the situation, making it a challenge and not a threat. At that point, also my amygdala got emotional. And so, we said, challenge, accepted. And I jumped. And we should always jump, whether we are in a 4 meters high cliff, or whether we are in our rooms, unsure to accept or not an offer, or whether we are about to buy those no-return flight tickets. What this whole event is about, and what our speakers are about to do today, is not just presenting to you some new perspectives of risk-taking, but leading you on that cliff where I was standing some months ago and asking you, so, are you jumping? Thank you.